everybody, welcome back to our channel, We're the Movie Couple. I'm Wendy.
I'm Dustin.
And here's an unspoiler review for Joker. So you guys, we're just gonna jump right into it because I know you guys have been waiting for this review. We saw Joker much later than we anticipated because of work and life schedules, but we finally saw it, yay! So Joker, directed by Todd Phillips, stars Joaquin Phoenix as Arthur Fleck slash Joker. Wow. In a way, I'm kind of glad I waited to see this movie because when it first premiered, I wasn't able to see it because of work schedule, and it's like we try to wait for each other to see most of the movies if we can, and this one was important that we saw it together. And I just had like a really busy time at work, and I didn't have the time on like any of the weekends to go because it was like insane. And then I just had like a couple of weeks where it was just mental health was not at its peak.
And you don't want to go see this movie
anxiety,
if you're having like anxiety problems.
Or like any sort of like mental like just period. So and a lot of my friends said like, hey, look, if your like mental health is not like the right place, maybe like hold off on seeing this movie. I'm like, why? Like just do it. I'm like, okay. And these are like my friends. I trust them. We have very similar tastes in movies. And I was like, okay, so we waited a little bit for both that and for both of our schedules to clear up. We finally saw it, and my God, I get it. I get why. We can't talk about how that my outcome of this movie, like my the
final result,
the final reaction. Yeah. But if you watch the spoiler review on Patreon, we will talk about it a little bit more in there. So let's just kick this off. This is a very different type of a Joker movie than I thought. No, not really. I take that back because they do show that in the trailer.
Yeah, I think it's more along the lines of a very different kind of comic book movie. Yes. They finally took the genre into this, I mean, very, very realistic. You know, they did a pretty good job on making everything realistic in like Christopher Nolan's version of Batman, but with this, they're really doing much more. Yeah, but they're still doing much more of a character dive into the Joker, who's probably one of the more fascinating villains in the DC lineup, and probably one of the most popular too.
I would say one of the most popular. Yeah, like if you say Joker, people know.
Yeah.
I don't want to, I know the movie's already out, but we said it was going to be a non-spoiler, so we don't want to give away spoiler here, but we basically see Arthur Fleck in his everyday life dealing with the stress of work, family. He's got some mental issues that he's trying to work through, the way society treats him. All of that brings down into him essentially having a breakdown, turning into his alter ego Joker. What a performance by Joaquin Phoenix. And I kind of really want to talk about that for a second. It's completely transformational, like to the point where, you know, sometimes you can see an actor, like you're watching, you're involved in their role, and you're like, okay, I believe this, but you still kind of see the actor. He kind of like Gary Oldman disappears into his role.
Yes, I'd have to agree with that.
Yes, Arthur Fleck. See what happened there? Joaquin Phoenix did that with Arthur Fleck too, as far as like the weight loss that he went through too.
Yeah. I mean, he really embodied it. You didn't just feel the acting, but you really just saw what it kind of did to him physically. And from what I've heard, Joaquin Phoenix is a very method actor, so he was really diving deep into this character and really just connecting with also a lot of things that people deal with. That was something that I truly did love about this movie. Yeah, is that all of the things that they have happen to Arthur or in his environment really does have a lot to say about what's going on in our world too, because it's very reflective. Yeah. You can see a lot of the problems that are happening, and you're like, wait a second, I heard of this happening to someone else, or someone that I know is going through this kind of problem as well. And it really does hit home to where you see this change in this character, and it really does make you think of, you know, your own life and what kind of person would you have been in this point of view of someone's life too. Are you the kind of person that would actually help someone like him, or are you one of the ones that either just ignore him, or
it really
does
makes you
shine a
take
mirror
look
to
at
humanity.
how you treat people and how people treat you and how you react to that.
Yes.
And it's every action has an equal reaction, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that really, I think this movie what's really so interesting about this one too, you can take it so many ways. You can examine it from like how society, like we humans interactions in society and working class and things like that. You can look at the mental health issues and what is there like to support and what is there to not support it. And how people kind of deal with it, whether you're the one that's having a problem, and stigma around that, and so much more, because we are still in the universe of Gotham.
Yeah.
So there's also very much that, and this movie, the rewatch value on this one, I think is extremely high, because there was a lot of things that you and I had talked about after the movie. We're like, well, what about this? How much of the movie is kind of in Arthur's head, and how much of it did play out? And it's like, I think the more you see this movie, the more little things you can kind of pick out and say, well, maybe this, maybe that, all speculations, because we don't know. And I love that there's like a little bit of mystery that's shrouded around that, as it would kind of is the Joker.
I think that is actually probably one of the most interesting aspects of it too. Not just going to go see the movie, but when you get together with people who have seen the movie, it really does start to open up these questions that you can have about the movie. Now, personally, when I went to go see it, I didn't have as big of a reaction as I thought I did, or as I thought I would. But coming out, what I found was really stimulating was being able to talk to people about the reflection of the mirror that this movie is holding up to society. And that's probably one of the best parts of coming out of this movie, was the fact that you can start talking about it. And then I started watching some videos online. I'm like, that's an interesting take on that. What about that? And then I think that makes you want to go back and see it again.
Because now when you hear other people's point of view or little things they picked up, and you're like, well, I was so involved in watching this part of the movie, I didn't think about, you know what I mean? So you kind of examine it different. You kind of go hear a different like take on the movie, and you kind of go back and see it from that perspective. So the rewatch value is high. The performances, Joaquin Phoenix aside, because we already know, we've addressed that he is great in this. Like, is really, really fantastic all the way through. And
he pretty much
sound
100%
carries the movie 100%.
There's not a scene without him in it. He is always in it.
Like, it's so, my God, like the work you have to put into for this movie, and like the prep, and just every little thing that he does is really like extremely impressive, and just what an artist. I really, really liked it. I really want to see it again. I need a little bit of time before I am ready to dive back in, but I definitely want to see it again in theaters, because I also enjoy the sound design and the soundtrack for this movie as well. So with that said, let's just go ahead and give our rating.
Well, actually, I'm going to give this movie a check it out. I think it's an amazing film, and I think why I'm giving it a check it out, I reserve the right to change my mind later after I've seen it one or two more times.
I mean, everybody does.
Because when I first came out of the theater, I didn't quite, I think I kind of over-prepared myself emotionally to not get too beaten up by it. But now that I've seen it and I've heard other people talk about it, it makes me want to go back and see it again, because there's very many different ways that you can see this movie, and I think after I see it again, I may give it a catch it opening night.
Yeah. Okay, that's fair. Look, you can, an opinion's an opinion. You can change, and just like movies are subjective.
Yeah, but so, for right now, I want to give it a check it out. Yeah. It is still an amazing movie.
I am going to give this one, I know, again, we saw it late, but if we had seen it on the weekend that it came out, or prior to that, I would have given this movie, and I do give this movie a catch it opening night. I think it's important for people to see this movie to kind of, you know, whether you're a comic book fan or not, whether you're a Joker fan or not, obviously to people who love Batman, Joker, and everything kind of within that comic book universe, this is probably a must-see for them. For everybody who isn't, this touches so much more than, it's not a superhero movie. To me, it's based on a comic book, but I wouldn't categorize it as a comic book movie. It's like really
that's a really good way of
much more than that. And it makes you think. It can start conversation. It can, like you kind of said, like kind of holds up a mirror to like what society is today. And I love that so much. And this It's very high up on like one of my favorite movies, on my list of favorite movies of 2019 for sure. I would be surprised if Joaquin Phoenix is not nominated for an Oscar. I would be very interested to see who he goes up against if he's nominated. And, like,
I actually really would push for him to win an Oscar for this because he holds up the movie. It completely goes against grain of the genre. And it is still an amazing performance.
It's a very hard role to like be in that.
Yeah, to find any other actors kind of be able to push something like this.
So that is our rating for this movie. Let us know what you thought of the movie in the comment section below. Remember, non-spoiler review means non-spoiler comments. We're going to have to remove them if you put a spoiler in there. Just in case, look, people don't always have time to see movies.
Super careful.
But if you want to talk to us about spoilers, you can come join us on Patreon. We'll put up our spoiler review there, and we can really get into the details because I am dying to talk about all the spoilers. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And if you haven't yet, hit that notification bell so you can be updated with all new videos that are coming out. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye.